upgraded in 5 regions, namely Region 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. We had 3 clean milk parlor built in Manrico, MMA Anthology, and we will start large scale, once again large scale honey production. Remember we talked about forming a partnership with Cuba. Well, we have 3 specialists from Cuba will be coming to Guyana in the mid part of January of next year, next few weeks, to start our apiculture activity, apiculture industry, which will commence in Region 1 and 9, and we'll work in there with the. So honey will be a big thing for us. Another success story for the Ministry of Agriculture is the fisheries and aquaculture. We have seen the fishery sector is a very important sector for us. We have recognized the importance of this sector, and we have made swift moves to craft policies to expand an existing program while introducing new innovative and technology-based programs. We have seen approximately $934 million allocated this year to improve this sector. In 2023, we have seen the highest marine production in the past 5 years, with over 42,000 metric tons. So, whilst there are views that we have seen a decline in fishing, in the marine sector we have seen an improvement here, and we have the officers at the back here who can testify and give the details. We have also started a new activity, which is a cage culture. We have presently 6 cages around the country, places like Mashabo, Mainstay, Kapui, and these cages have already started to produce. They have already had produced a tambiki from these cages, from the villages, and in the coming months, we'll have another 50 cages, which are in the country already, being set up at various points in Region 2, 5, 9, and 10, right? Another 50 of those cages will be set up across the country. These cages, we are looking especially in the hinterland location that will boost the income of the village economy. Also, in the aquaculture area, we are now building 10. We will be spending approximately $100 million to construct 10 1-acre plot ponds. We have already started construction at Anhoak, and now those ponds are in the process of being putting lining in it. And in another month from now, those ponds will be in operation, and we'll start the production of prawns, fresh prawns coming out of Anhoak. The brackish water shrimp industry is another success story. When we started out, the production of brackish water shrimp in our country was at 10,000 kilogram monthly. Today we have raised that to roughly about 90,000 kilogram monthly. We have seen a massive increase in brackish water shrimp. We are working with these rural farmers. We are helping them to develop their plots, put in the various infrastructure, and also have our officer, the fishery officer, work with them, and so that they could put in the system that we want. And we are seeing now more and more demands for these species of shrimp, and we are seeing increased production. And this is a tremendous achievement for us in the brackish water shrimp industry. I am hoping that when the project will have completed in another 6 months, that we can increase production close to about over 120,000 kilograms monthly with the project that are going on in that part of the country, Region 6. There are demands and requests for this project to expand in in other regions, Region 5, Region 2, and other regions across, and we are working with those set of farmers. Also, the agro-processing and marketing continue to be vital to the development of the agriculture sector, improving livelihood of many of our single mothers and youth, and advancing food security. We have invested approximately $589.5 million to increase opportunity for our agro-processors and exporters. Export for January to November 2023, Guyana's exported of non-traditional agriculture commodities totaling 8,926 metric tons, valued at 1,862 million or 8.8 million US dollars. We are now in the state of constructing a food hub in Guyana on the highway. We want to be the lead exporter in CARICOM. We have commenced work on the food hub. This will continue in 2024.
aiding in the food supply chain and production processes such as cold storage, manufacturing, and processing capability in order to improve market access. In 2023, 130 new agro-processed products were launched in the Guyana shop. 54 new Guyana shop corners were established this year, bringing the total numbers in operation to 68. In 2023, the new GMC started developing 2 more agro-processing facilities in Oriala and Crabble Creek, and successfully commissioned 3 agro-processing facilities in various regions, Region 9, Region 10, and Region 2. We have posted to date, as I said, and that was a budget measure. When the minister highlights certain measures in budget, we said we will do farmers market across the country. To date, we did 13 of those markets across the country in regions 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10. In 2023, special emphasis was placed on further developing agriculture in Guyana hinterland region, transforming livelihood at village level. Through the HESAP-T project, we executed project to benefit over 28,600 persons from Region 1, 7, 8, and 9. For 2023, $739 million budgeted to fund several development projects, which include infrastructural upgrades, irrigation, livestock, farming, and agro-processing, development and training exercises, and apiculture and climate-smart agriculture. In concluding, you know that we are now leading CARICOM. Guyana continues to play the leading role in agriculture and food and nutrition security. Since 2020, Guyana has emerged as a leader in CARICOM, advancing the agri-food system agenda. We are a leading voice in prioritizing food security and position in the agriculture sector. This was non-existent during the previous government. Guyana's leadership on the 25 by 2025 initiative by CARICOM, which is aimed at reducing extra-regional agri-food import bill by 25% by the year 2025, with evidence that agriculture is viewed as a mainstay of our economy and a fundamental development pillar for our future low-carbon development path. We have had already 2 agri-investment expo in Guyana, and we have seen from those expo many investors coming to Guyana to invest. We have developed MOU with various countries in the Caribbean, and that will continue. As a matter of fact, as I said, there are requests to do a lot more in terms of helping other CARICOM nation developing their agriculture sector. So 2023 has been a very transformative year for us in the agriculture sector, where the government's policy and policy direction has enabled us to deliver on all our initiatives outlined in the manifesto promises. Budget 2023. Through our program, we have committed and we continue to harness the potential of each sector, increasing productivity, competitiveness, and at the same time improve food security and self-sufficiency for our nation. And with the leadership of His Excellency the President in CARICOM, I am hoping that Guyana will be that hub that we're talking about, both in food production and export, so that we can once again turn the food basket of the Caribbean. So I want to thank you. I want to pause here. I know it was a little lengthy statement, and we're now for questioning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. I'm sure you will agree with me that that was a very comprehensive statement, touching on a range of issues in the agriculture sector, including the achievements, but also some of the future. So, like I said before, we open the floor now for questions. I just want to remind you to identify yourself and the media houses or the media house you represent. The floor is open for questions.
So as I said, that we have contracted a number of farmers to produce, to replicate those seedlings. But what we are working with various groups across the country. And over time with outreaches and those groups, we have had interest and we have had requests, and we are working with a number of those groups in identifying who needs these planting material, these seedlings. So that's the way we have been identifying in terms of working with the local organization, working with the farmers group, or when we go to our outreaches, and also by our extension officers. They have been working over time with this group, and they have identified a number of those persons who are interested in getting these high volume or high seedling.
Can you say how receptive the farmers be towards this?
Very, very receptive. That is why we have started the importation of the high yielding coconut variety that we talk about, because they've shown a very keen interest. And we have seen that since 2020, with the effort that we have made and the investment that we have made, we have seen the increase in cultivation and also production.
Knowing around the question, please, in connection with the planting machines, Pomerun being one of the places that you said you're going to, could you give maybe a list of places that?
So we are working with groups across the country, and I highlighted Pomerun because Pomerun have large cultivation of coconut. That doesn't mean that Pomerun, because when we started out with requests from the Pomerun, but we'll be working with other groups across the country over time. And the East Bank, we have coconut plantation in Cornty, Maikoni. So we'll distribute, and this will be a continuous process, not only for this year, but next year. In next year's budget, we also have requests here for this type of machine that we'll make available to farmers across the country.
Why y'all just go?
John O'Brien, Ghana Times. Considering Ghana assumes chairmanship of CARICOM next year, from an agricultural standpoint, how significant will this be? And you made mention of Indian experts just now in connection with coconut. Indian experts were also supposed, or the government was going to approach India for help in the sugar sector. Was this done? Can you provide an update on that?
So first of all, for Guyana, a session to the CARICOM chairmanship, this will be a big boost for us. Because first of all, we know for a fact that His Excellency is leading the agriculture agenda in CARICOM. He's the lead spokesperson in agriculture. And for me as Minister of Agriculture, I think this will take agriculture will be one of the main focus, because we have seen over the last few years a number of countries that have indicate their interest in this sector. Now, for His Excellency to assume the chairmanship of CARICOM, I think that agriculture will be given a priority. Although other issues will be given priority, but agriculture, because we have seen what has happened during the pandemic. Many countries that large places, rich countries in the Caribbean, places like whose economy afforded it, they were unable to get food sometimes, procure food. So that is why CARICOM leaders met and decided that, look, we have to reduce the dependency on external input. And we have to reduce it, and we'll start it out, phase it out. For the first 3 years, or the first 5 years, we have to reduce it by 25%. And for CARICOM to make that decision, over the years, and like all of us, would have seen CARICOM make different statements about agriculture and food production. But now we are seeing the political will is there. And I think with the passion that our president has, he will drive this agenda, and I think CARICOM will be directly towards increased food production and reduce the import. So for me, that will be tremendous. That will be good for Guyana, because we are leading that. I know we are also chairing the ministerial task force on food production, and that will help us tremendously. Not help us alone, help the Caribbean to achieve its goal in terms of moving to a direction that we want CARICOM to. That's one. The other issue that they talk about, yes, we are not only looking at India, but we have had discussion with Guatemala and other areas, other nations to help us in the sugar industry, but 2 countries that were identified for us was India and Guatemala. Right now, the chairman, who is the Director General, he's working with a technical team with Guy Suko, and they will have to submit to Guatemala shortly some of the areas that they need help. And I'm hoping that we already decided when we spoke to the Indian export what we need, what they should look at. I am hoping in the new year we should have a visit from a company from India to come here to look at some aspect of the industry, but at the same time, I am hoping some technical people from Gaisuku will be visiting Guatemala to see what they are doing there, so that they can also see and support with Guatemalan sugar company. And the third question, can you? No, it's two. Okay.
Yolanda, API. Mr. Can you provide us an update on the breeder program?
On the
breeder program, the broader facility for getting Virginia seeds and nuts.
So yes, so if I could say we have already partnered, I didn't mention it, but we are partnered with the private sector. That program has started, and very shortly we'll invite the press to look at it. We have already started production of eggs. How many, Dr. Waller, how many eggs we producing?
We're in the first cycle, and from the first 5,000, we're now approximately 2900 in production.
Our own hatching eggs, we are producing right here in Guyana, rather than importing. And in another few years from now, we are setting ourselves a target. If we could produce 29 out of 5,000, then that augurs well for us, that we are looking to improve that and increase hatching eggs production so that we can be self-sufficient.
Minister, can you say what is the in-house capacity of the ministry in terms of excavators and other equipment? How many are operable? Mr. How many are operable? How many are down? And what is the dredging and desilting plans for this country for the first and second quarters of 2024?
So to date we have 153 pieces of our equipment or those machinery. 95% of that are operable, and we have a maintenance contract where we have a firm is doing these repairs around the country.
Which farm?
Pardon me?
Which company is it?
For several firms, right? A number in various regions doing these maintenance. And we have our own mechanic. You know, we have a workshop at Siknan. We have a workshop at Siknan. They're mechanics too. But the fleet of machinery is so much that we have to also outsource some of those, right? And in various parts of the region, decentralize it so that you can't, when a machine breaking, probably bring it to Siknan or rescue. So we have companies that we would have already contracted to work.
Based on this 153, we scheme on excavators alone,
Or like if that or equipment like machinery, but most are excavators, bulldozers, graders. Those three types of equipment, right? And excavators include amphibious excavators. You know what is an amphibious excavator?
Yes.
An excavator that goes into the canal and work, float in the canal and work.
With your budgetary allocation, I know you know the ministry is working on budget. We have to come to this year 2024. If all goes well, by how much this fleet will be increased? What are you asking for?
Well, we will continue increase those fleet, as you rightly said. Well, in this year's budget, we asked for another 4. In next year's budget, another 4. Recently, we have bought another 5 in the supplementary that we would have received from Parliament. 3 amphibious, 5 amphibious, and we also bought another 2 for the islands of Vietnam and Legwan, right? And we'll be building a pontoon, another pontoon with 2 other excavators for the Pomeroon. So all those now, we have that in the supplementary that recently passed in the National Assembly. Works are ongoing. We have received those excavators already, and very shortly I will distribute them around the country.
And the dredging and desilting plans for the first and second quarters of 2024?
Well, these various areas you have to look at how you have to do this. For example, in the Pomeroon, the dredging is ongoing there in the Pomeroon. For the outfalls, as I said, we have our own cutter-head dredge. But you can't go to the outfall and clear the outfall when you don't have water to flush it on a regular basis. So what we'll do, we have to wait for probably the rainfall before we start to distill. We already awarded contract waiting for the appropriate time to do it.
Based on your mapping and tapping, which are your critical areas or areas of that require more interest?
Well, there were a number of areas that we have had concern with, but over time we have put in a lot of work. And those areas now are becoming less concerned in terms of for drainage and things like that. And with the construction of these hope like mega canals that I talk about, we'll have tremendous ease in areas that used to be flooded. Places like the Cook Creek Savannah, where we have a lot of flooding used to take place there. I'm hoping that we can reduce flooding there. Places like the Pomeroon, those are areas that we had serious concern with what we are doing now, with the investment here, $1.8 billion to lift the people in bed by 1.5 meter, to do block drainage, where you block drainage across those areas there. Will reduce flooding tremendously. Those were areas where we used to have a lot of concern with. Places like Blackbush Polder, where we'll be doing an independent mega project from at Bengal coming out of Johanna. So we'll have independent channel now right onto the Atlantic.
And I know you have some issues with Mocha, but any?
Well, we continue. We have work continuing in Mocha. As a matter of fact, we have been working with farmers in Mocha. We have our machine there, and we are continuing working in Mocha, and we are doing bed and drains also in the Mocha area. When the president went there, he made a number of commitments which I am working with. And you know for a fact that I went in there for a number of times. I had direct interaction with the farmers. So we are working at Mocha. We are working in places like Buxton, for example. They got drains in Buxton. They call it the sucker drain. We are working to rehabilitate all those drains in the Buxton, the Bactelis, Victoria area, the Ants Grove area. We are working the entire MA area. Right now, we are clearing hundreds of acres of land at Belladrum, and where people are going back for the first time in decades to go back to the land in Belladrum. In places like El Dorado, Baracara. Baracara, we are doing 400 acres of land, working with the farmers there to do red beans cultivation. We have given the farmers in Baracara their own tractors, pump, and a number of farming equipment. And we are giving them all the planting material. Places like Dartmouth and the Essequibo Coast, we are working with farmers there. We have cleared hundreds of acres of land in Dartmouth, Queenstown, and the Essequibo Coast. So a number of areas all across this country. As I said, in Linden, where people used to consider Linden to be only a mining town, we are seeing a lot of agricultural activities now with the construction of the conservancy that we have built in Linden.
Thank you.
Minister Antonio De Starbuck, I have several questions. One, could you say the 25% by 2025 initiative comes to the end of 2 years? Can you identify the food imports that Ghana will reduce by the end of that period? Secondly, can you say what is the headway in being made with the food terminal that is being established in Barbados? Third, among the major projects this year, you would have mentioned about the pump stations. I know that you would have seen reports about the Tupui contract, right? Which is tuned at $865 million.
Kapui?
Tupui contract. Could you say if the company has built such a station, because there are contentions that it has no expertise? Could you possibly provide an update on that? And can you give us an update on the Lindell pump station, if it is going to meet its April deadline, that is next year? And there is also reports about behind the microphone farmers who continue to complain about salt water intrusion. What is your ministry doing about that to address that issue?
Those are other questions?
And I have a last question here. Are any financial statements being prepared for the shade houses that the government has invested in terms of how much money that was stated and how much has earned by the growers?
How much?
How much has been earned by the growers?
The growers?
The growers, sorry, yeah.
All right, good. For example, you asked the first question, 25 by 22. We are hoping that we will make a contribution in a number of areas. One of the areas is harness that we already started on. With the high value crop in 2021, we imported $2.6 billion in these high value crops. We have seen that drop tremendously. These high value crops are things like carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, bell pepper, and a number of other of those things that we plant in the shade house. With the amount of shade houses over close to the 400 shade houses across the country now, we have seen a steep production of these material, these imports that these commodities that we used to import. So at the end of 2025, Guyana will number of crops. We are working on production. If we can get a wheat to be a variety, find a variety to plant in Guyana, we will not import wheat. We will not import corn and soya. We will not import high value crops like I mentioned just now. We will not import hatching eggs that we talk about with the breeders program that we have. We will not import the kind of the variety of the special cuts, because we are now building an abattoir, one of the most state-of-the-art abattoir in Region 5, Anpoa, and we are working with the other organizations so that we can produce our own, what do you call it, cattle and beef, so to work here. So, and we are working with a company from Brazil that wants to bring in about 1,000 head cattle to do work in Guyana. We're hoping that that program can start next year. Right? We are looking to produce all our spices right here in Guyana. I mentioned just now turmeric, black pepper, ginger, nutmeg. I'm looking to do onion. We talk about onion produce. So a number of areas that you can list it. Now, the food terminal in Barbados, there's an area called the Brown Pond in Barbados. I visited there with the President and the Prime Minister of Barbados. Our job was to ensure that we work with them. We have Mr. Lionel, who's the chairman of NDIA, an engineer by profession, but we work along with his counterpart in Barbados. We finished the design, and they are working now with a company from Trinidad who are they are working to help with the construction of this food terminal. The Novo company, yeah, the Novo company. The Novo company in Trinidad that produces the dal, the instant bike and choke, these things. And so that is moving apace. The Lindendal pump station, yes, is on track, and I'm hoping, very optimistic, yes, it will meet its deadline. And you know for a fact that that is a major project, that's a World Bank project, right? And I'm hoping that it will meet its deadline. And other pump station too, not only the Lindendal one, those that were published in Starbuck News, those like people, the opposition MP, like Michael was raising.
Jimbo.
Yeah. Alright, we met with the contractors. The deadline, they have to complete it by the specific deadline that was set. All the contractors we met with. The places like the canals one, the A-line canals, the Charity, the Cosia, all those areas. I can list it. They want a cottage, all the contractors. We met with a week ago. Last week Thursday, we met with them. And they signed that, yes, all the construction will be constructed. The one with this company, with Takui company.
Yeah, it's very contentious.
This one here, I don't want to pronounce on it. Our job is not to award contract. Our job is to work with the contractor to ensure that he deliver what he bid and received. The job of the National Procurement and Tendering Administration is to award contracts. Now, saying that these contracts were awarded for four new pump stations, four new pump stations, and this is one of the companies that received, will work. We'll ensure that you have to satisfy all the specs that we have, right? So,
sir, if I understand you correctly, because I know that the NDIA falls under the Ministry of Agriculture, and you have oversight over that, so you do not want to comment on that subject.
No, I'm saying, and the comments I'm making, that our job is to not award contract. Our job is to work with the entity that was awarded the contract to ensure that they satisfy the specs. Our job is to ensure that we receive value for our money. And we will ensure that we receive value for our money.
Right, I understand it, but
So the
you're
aspect
saying-
of awarding contract, the criteria of awarding contract doesn't fall under the Ministry of Agriculture through the NDI. That fall under the National Procurement and Tendering Administration, which would have awarded a contract to this company. Our job is to ensure that we get value for our money, which we are doing.
Well, if there's any representative from NDIA, I just wanted to find out if the Public Procurement Commission would have requested some documents concerning that same contract.
No, the public, I can speak on it because NDI falls under my,
Right, but I wanted to know if the documents.
So the documents that the PPC would have requested and the document that we have supplied those documents. The NDIA, where is yes, they have supplied those documents, but the documents that are in our possession, we have already supplied, sent it to the procurement, Public Procurement Commission.
Okay, good, thank you.
Quick question. The $600 million contract that has been flagged by the Auditor General for pumps that were procured in 2018. Can you elaborate on what
I spoke of that earlier.
Yeah, but I want you to
So
elaborate.
let me tell you what. They have paid about 75% of the cost, the previous government. When I came in and we discovered that the pump were not suitable, those pumps were not suitable. They have smaller, the pump size was small, the engine was small. I put a stop to the payment and we were working to see how we can get those pumps replaced. As a matter of fact, we did an assessment and we did a proposal how this matter could resolve. That the engine, of course the engine will have to be replaced because the engine were a smaller size and the spec that was required. So the matter is at that stage. Also, it has engaged, I've engaged my colleague Minister, AG, the Attorney General, and we are working, hopefully we can get this matter resolved shortly.
Are there any challenges in terms of engaging the company that procured it?
Well, we are engaging the country through the Indian High Commission. So I'm the ambassador, the High Commissioner, and we have been working and cooperating with us to get the company engaged. I'm hoping just after the holiday we can have another meeting to hopefully this matter can resolve.
Yes,
It's an Apollo company from India.
Yeah, so what were the farmers? You didn't answer the question in Micro.
No, I answered the question 2 weeks ago to start with. I went to Myconi. I met with the farmers. They complained about the water intrusion. I have given instruction. Mr. Lionel and his team have been working. They have been blown out. When the farmers complained about the salt water, we had the high tide. Now the water has been cutting, if you know the local term, reducing it.
Correct.
And when the water reduces, you have more drafting periods, the water can go out of the channel. That the NDI has been working with. But at the same time, we install pumps at various points which is bringing in fresh water into the system. And we open up a creek, what is the creek name? That creek that the Lionel spoke about, so that fresh water is coming into the irrigation system. At the same time, we are also providing fresh drinking water for the farmers in Myconi. And since then, the president has instructed that we provide a black tank to each home in that area, so that whenever we have rainfall, or we can help them to fill the tank. So by next week, we will deliver on that commitment that the president has instructed us to do. Yes, Ms. Kaichur.
Thank you. On the issue of the 2025, 25% by 2025, can you say or just confirm for us if Guyana is already targeting all of the big ticket items, or if there are other items that you plan to target for 2024, 2025? And can you say, in terms of Guyana, how far along are we in achieving this goal, and which CARICOM countries are lagging behind? I have other questions, but I'll allow you to tackle that first.
So if I can remember well, we have about 8 commodities that were targeted to reduce the importation. Things like poultry meat product, rice, coconuts, those things that comes in the Caribbean. I can't remember all, but Guyana will be playing a leading role in terms of helping to reduce that importation. And those commodities that were identified are commodities that Guyana is producing. So we will be making a contribution in terms of reducing the import. For example, livestock feed, corn and soya is one, rice, poultry, coconut, each vegetables, things that we bring from Florida and other places that we are, and all those things we are producing. The last time we would have taken a stock was about 58%. We are at present, right? Hoping by 2025 we can achieve the 100% that we have set ourselves. We talk about achieving 25% of the targets.
Great. And which CARICOM countries are lagging behind on that?
I don't want to identify any Caribbean country, but there are some countries that we are working with and some countries that have a lot of challenges. Like, for example, places like Montserrat. They don't expect Montserrat to make a large contribution. They have a very active volcano. Places like St. Vincent and the Grenadines that had a volcano the other day. They are now rebuilding the sector. We are working with them to build their tuber industry back one scale. So, but they are making their contribution. They are trying as much as possible to make their contribution. But I think, as I said earlier, that reducing the food import bill of CARICOM was a long discussion before, but now we are seeing the political will deal. We are seeing countries that are interested, places like Barbados, whose economy were directly built on tourism, who never had interest in agriculture much. Now they are interested, they are working, they are doing brackish water shrimp, we help them to build at Brown Pond. They are doing the things like sweet potato, cassava. We are helping them to build shade houses across 20 shade houses in the island. We are helping them to build. Trinidad and Tobago, we have helped them to resuscitate the rice industry. We gave them 100 tons of seedling of rice seed recently. We sold it to them. So I said give the farmers in Ghana, so we give it out with rice seed. We sold 100,000 tons of rice seed to Trinidad. I am sending a technical team after the holiday to Trinidad to help them in the work there. We are helping them with the shade house construction in Trinidad and Tobago. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we are helping them to build their tuber industry also in that areas. So generally, we are working with a number of CARICOM countries. And Guyana now is being seen as a leading light in terms of providing this kind of leadership in CARICOM.
Kiana, before you go, if I can piggyback on Kiana's question, this 58%, is it CARICOM overall, or does it represent Guyana?
No, CARICOM overall.
Does Guyana know how much it has reduced its
all
bill?
the countries, and I can supply that. I can give you the contribution of all the countries, all 50 member states.
Specifically Guyana, doesn't it?
What?
Our reduction.
Yeah, I can provide that data. I don't have it here. I will provide that data to you. We have it. We have to do that on a regular basis.
All right. In your opening statement, you spoke about what you inherited. Can you say which agency required the most reform in terms of the level of corruption, contract mismanagement, or just poor administration overall? Which agency required the most work? And what systems have you put in place to ensure that it's a policy that is known, you have a zero tolerance approach where corruption and these other issues are concerned. And as you're pondering that, I wanted to just switch your attention to the gas to energy project. The president has spoken about the impacts this project can have on the agri sector, but are you actively developing a plan and say, well, which sectors will be pushed to the front to latch onto this new project and to increase production? Which sectors are you looking at to derive the most benefits at first? Are you devising an action plan where that is concerned? And on rice, can you say if a new strain is being developed? I know you had a lot of success with GRDB 16, and what new markets are you targeting for 2024?
Okay, first of all, I don't want to identify any agency. Generally, across the ministry, I put a number of mechanisms in place. For example, when I took over, we had some issue with contracts that were in NDIA with extension. The procedure was not followed. You know that I made that public, and that was the issue where the contract was extended without the proper procedure. So we're trying to put those systems in place. Now we are signing contracts in the public. We are making the bill of quantities, the on-price bill of quantities available to the stakeholders so they will see what kind of work has to be done. We are moving in direction where we are making officers, head of agency go directly and talk to the stakeholders, bring them more, get them more involved in various aspects of this of discussion, so that they can know and trust the system rather than have don't trust it and say that they got apprehension about certain issues. So we have been moving in that direction and be more open and transparent. As a matter of fact, when we go out also we make available the costs for projects. We try as much as possible to pay for measured work rather than pay for the whole contract cost, so that we can be more accountable. If a contractor have a contract for $10 million and the work we go and find it done, and they measure it for $8 million. Producing fertilizer. You know, with the Russian-Ukraine war, we have seen an escalation in the cost of fertilizer. And if we can produce our own fertilizer in Guyana, that would be a big thing for us in terms of reduction of the cost of production.
So we can have reduction of fertilizer costs. If we can have a reduction in energy costs of manufacturing in terms of agro processing, that will help us tremendously. That will redound back to the sector in terms of producing more and getting cheaper input in these agriculture. The third question, what was the third one?
That was
yes, the number of food rice strain we have right now, I don't know who wants to high yielding variety, and that is why I said we were able to, within 1 year, we were able to increase yield from 6.2 to 6.3 hectares, right? So yes, we have a number of those, and a number of those strains is right now working on, right? And it's been evaluated to become a candidate variety. Right, so a number of areas that we have.
I've heard that we have some Brazilian versions.
Those, but yeah, all, not only Brazilian varieties, but in different parts of the world. For example, I sent a team to India, they brought some different strains. So we're working with different varieties, different strains, so that which is more productive. You understand? For example, we have, well, I don't know what to talk about. We have like GRD 10. We have GRDB 15, we have GRDB 16. So different variety will have different yield. For example, the high yielding one for us locally is the GRDB 16, right? The one that we're working with Brazil and is producing a little better, right? The other strain that we have might produce more. So we have a lot of those, and we have a very active research team that are working at Farmer Rice Research Station.
And what about new markets for rice?
Yeah, we have new markets. As I said, we had new markets, some market in Africa last year. Sierra Leone was a new market that we had, and we have some new markets in Europe. And you know, with the reduction of export from India, we have a lot of requests coming to Guyana where people will need to fill those markets that India would supply rice. So our demand will be more, especially in Europe. Europe and some places in North America.
What are the updates on that MOU that your ministry signed earlier this year with the Indian company for millet production?
Well, we started it, they supply all the planting material to us. So we are working with them. We're working with them and we're working, we signed an MOU, I mentioned it just, we signed an MOU with Cuba. That will start implementation by next 2 weeks. We got the exports coming to Guyana. We start agriculture. We have signed an MOU with Trinidad and Tobago, which we are helping them to resuscitate various aspects of their agriculture sector. So all the MOUs we are working on to try to implement and get things in shape. Well, the blackberry sheep product to date, we have about approximately 750. So we got 707 sheep. So what we'll do in the new year, we're rolling out the program. We already know Dr. Waldron provided me with the farmers that will be in the program. So what we'll do, we'll provide these sheep to the farmers. In turn, they will have to give us back to replicate that and give us to other farmers. And that is how we'll increase the population of blackberry sheep in Guyana to create a brand. So we have approximately how many farmers? 42 farmers already identified for the first tranche, which will roll out for the first quarter of 2020. Region 5 first, starting in Region 5. Pardon me? Well, the Minister of Agriculture from Barbados told me for the first quarter of 2020.
Minister, you would have mentioned that there has been the highest millet production in the last few years. Is this as a result of more persons getting involved in the industry? And what are some of the plans for 2024 to support the increase in production in the fisheries industry?
So, first of all, we had an issue with the fishing, especially marine catches. And I think that we had a study with FAO, and they did a report, and they showed the cause why we had a low catches at that time, because of the heavy fresh water going in, coming in from the Amazon, going into the Atlantic and things like that, and the fish to take away. Now, with the reduction of that, we have seen an increase because of the well pattern of change, kind of change we're talking about. And we have been giving constant support to the fishing industry in terms of making resources available and hoping those things can be done in terms of increased production. What we have done, we are purchasing now these tracking device that we are putting in these private boats so that we can know the location when they are in emergency. When I became Minister of Agriculture, I saw Tychoons would have carried an article about the boat that they bought. I came and I saw a boat that the previous administration would have bought to petroleum in the Atlantic. The boat is presently being modified because I don't think it was suitable, and I'm hoping that very shortly we can get that boat start operation so that we can have petroleum also in our area here where our fishing boats are.
No further questions? If there are no further questions, thank you very much for coming and all the best to you for 2024. I believe we have some questions in back.